Did you know that hundreds of infants in this country undergo ostomy surgery each year, and that the need for ostomy surgery is life-saving, not devastation? Did you know that not long ago, ostomy surgery in infants was rarely done? And did you know that in the last 15 to 20 years, pediatric surgeons, ET nurses, and ostomy product manufacturers have developed the procedures and techniques that enable infants who now have ostomy surgery to grow into productive, active, wonderful young people? Join us as we look at this video scrapbook about young people who have had ostomy surgery.
I'm Linda Allen, certified ET nurse from Harris Methodist Fort Worth. I have been asked to participate in this project concerning adolescents and children with ostomies. The Fort Worth chapter of UOA is producing this 6th health-related video. I was the ET nurse in the video Care of the Children with an Ostomy. This video takes the youngster out of the complete supervision of parents and prepares them to go to school, to socialize with others, and develop a sense of responsibility. This is truly an awesome task. It is our hope that this effort will prove to be helpful and reassuring.
Hello, this is Jeanette Esquire. I'm a certified enterostomal therapy nurse, and I've worked for 10 years in the field. To help with the understanding of why it becomes necessary for a child to have an ostomy, I would like to take a moment and explain the situations which most often require ostomy surgery and the definitions of the causes. The major indications for ostomy surgery in children are birth defects, such as Hirschsprung's disease, where the colon does not completely develop prior to birth, cloacal exstrophy, malformations or series of malformations that can include the bowel, bladder, and reproductive tracts, bladder exstrophy, the bladder is on the outside of the body at birth, imperforate anus, where the anal opening is not formed, or spina bifida, there is paralysis of the spine with loss of control over body functions. There are other reasons for ostomy surgery in children besides birth defects, which could include familial polyposis or inflammatory bowel diseases, such as ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. In some cases, a child's ostomy may be permanent colostomy, ileostomy, or urostomy, while in other cases, the ostomy may be temporary. For example, if the colostomy is a temporary procedure to divert the fecal stream, a second surgery will be required to reconnect the bowel. For infants and children with ostomies, the routine of care will include wearing a pouching system and attention to the care of the skin around the stoma. These products may be used in the child's care. Each child's routine should be developed with the help of your ET nurse. For children who have surgery to close the colostomy, the care routine will include care of the perianal skin and an individualized schedule for enemas to regulate the output. Now we have the opportunity to meet 3 young people and their parents and hear about their experiences. First, you will meet Sarah, who is an elementary school student, and her mother, Gail. Then you will meet Katie, a middle school student, and her mother, Mary. And finally, Brandon, who is in high school, who will be joined by his family.
Gail, I'd like to thank you for stopping by today and sharing your experiences with me. I wonder if you could tell me what you and Paul have experienced since Sarah was born.
Well, initially, when I was expecting her, diagnosis was fairly grim. They diagnosed cloacal exstrophy and imperforate anus and omphalocele and spina bifida. So they really didn't know what to expect after she was born. And right after she was born, we were so wrapped up and keeping her alive, and didn't have much time to concentrate on her permanent colostomy that she got the day she was born. And as time went on, we realized that she was going to go home with this. So then we started working with taking care of her. Neither of us had heard of an ostomy prior to that. And as she got older, she had a couple more surgeries.
Could you share some of that with us?
Sure. She had her colostomy revised a couple times just to use more of her intestine for growth purposes. And she had her neural tube surgery, on her back. And then last year she had an internal pouch done to prevent urostomy. So she catheterized through her abdomen, her urine. She's done great through surgeries and
now
physically.
you've come to a new part in her life. She's had to enter school. I'm sure that was a challenge for, not just for Sarah, but for family.
Oh, definitely. I had envisioned myself going to meet her for lunch every day to take care of,
Oh, I imagine.
Emptying her bag and catheterizing her since she's catheterized. And we've been fortunate enough to have an excellent school nurse that's very competent and capable every day. Sarah's just gotten the habit since kindergarten of going to see the school nurse after lunch, and she empties her bag and catheterizes her, and it's worked out very well. We keep our supplies at school, and the nurse, kind of monitors her supplies. And we just had a couple instances where her bag has leaked during school, and I don't expect the nurse to change her bag.
Right.
So then I'll come from work, or my husband will, to take her home and change her bag. And due to the Family Leave Act, we can leave work at any
Sure.
time to be able to do that. So that's helped.
Do you feel like she's adjusted well with school and the school situation or the circumstances at school?
She's
with her
adjusted
peers?
very well. Yeah, she's independent. We're trying to strive for independence. But, she's a busy kid, and sometimes she doesn't want to empty her bag when she needs to, or, she's too busy for stuff like that. But everything's gone, generally very well.
So she has extracurricular activities, I understand. Plays sports.
She does, yeah. She loves basketball. That's her sport. And she has no real limitations as far as what we allow her to do or not to do in school or playing. We do have a few limitations at school as far as like sit-ups. She doesn't have to do the required amount of sit-ups and things that require abdominal
strength. So it's
strength,
sort of
so.
Tailored to her, and they work well.
Right, right. But nothing major, She, keeps up with the kids and,
Well, that sounds really wonderful. What strengths or resources have you drawn upon?
I guess my husband and I have just drawn upon each other. We don't have any family in town, so, it's kind of hard to have extra resources.
That can make it difficult.
Yes. So there's no one really besides my mom that can take care of Sarah. And, she's busy with her life, and she doesn't live here. So, so that's the tough part.
I'm sure that you had a lot of significant financial challenges. Could you tell us something about how that went?
We've been fortunate enough to have excellent insurance, but we do have to count on using, the maximum amount of out-of-pocket expenses every year. And during surgery time, where neither of us are working, and there's no salary coming in, as
Sure.
well as paying, hospital bills, that is a challenge. And doctor's appointments, having to take off of work for doctor's appointments and things like that. We have had some insurance challenges, however. We sought out through the United Ostomy Association. We have been going to the yearly conferences. We met many families, and that has been our biggest source of support, meaning so many other children with ostomies, and Sarah gets to see them every year, and she gets to see her peers, and they don't care, wearing a swimsuit that their bag is showing. It's wonderful.
Everybody's the same.
That's right, everybody's the same, and there's nothing to hide, and they can share these problems with their friends
Sure.
that they have that they
That's
can't at
important.
home, right. So going to an out-of-town, we have learned about other doctors through going to the conferences, and we met with various doctors around the country about where we wanted to have her future surgeries done. And the doctor that we decided on that was the best for her is out of state, so out of network for our insurance. And that was a very big challenge for us since our insurance wouldn't cover it. And we had to go through appeal boards, and we just did our homework and finally won an appeal to have them cover this
Well,
out-of-town doctor.
a lot of frustration for you.
It was
I'm
a
sure.
lot. It took a lot of work, but it was worth it in the end because we
Sure.
wouldn't have been able to afford surgery. Now, some families, through their small communities or churches, are able to raise money to help with the expenses.
Okay. And have you had any of that support in your case, or are you just familiar with that?
I'm just familiar with that. Yeah,
Sure.
you know, doesn't take much to eat away your savings.
No,
Surgeries.
I can imagine that. Gail, as Sarah matures, are there some issues that you expect to have to address?
At this point, I'm concerned, you know, Sarah being 9 years old, is peer pressure.
Right.
And, you know, being accepted by her peers and, you know, getting into adolescence and, you know, puberty, the girls are starting to, you know. So things like that and being accepted is always my concern. You know, she does have a great personality, but she is kind of standoffish. She doesn't get very close to friends because she doesn't want to share, you know, her private,
Sure.
you know, situation with any of her friends. But she has a great personality and she has a magnetic personality, so it's easy for her to make friends.
She's
you
a
know.
unique individual, as we all are.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Gail, before Sarah and Adam join us, I wonder if you could share some tips that you might have that would be helpful to parents of children that have ostomies, active children like Sarah is.
The biggest tip is to plan ahead. Kids these ages in elementary school and middle school are very busy with school, after-school activities, sports, piano lessons. If I know I have a busy, you know, she has a busy day of school, after-school activities, piano lessons, something going on at night, I know that I want to have a fresh bag on that morning or that night so she can make it through the day with, you know, not having to miss an activity to go home and change her bag. Also, some challenges are keeping up with the fashion statement. You know, children want to do that, and right now the fashion is hip hugger jeans and bikini swimsuits.
So I'm sure that's a challenge.
It is a challenge. So we just modify it and look for different clothes that fit her that way. And summertime, keeping the bag on. If she's swimming all day, I want to make sure she has a fresh bag on that morning, put tape on, maybe try other things, extra tape or a belt, just to help keep on, you know, keep it on a little longer if she's going to be active that day.
So Gail, I'm glad that Sarah and Adam are able to join us for this part. Glad you're here. Glad to be here?
Yep.
How about you? Yeah? Way cool? What grade are you in?
In preschool.
Preschool, that's right. You're a big guy, aren't you, Adam? And Sarah, you're in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really great. How do you like going to school?
I think it's great.
Really? What do you like to do in school?
Well, I like to do PE because I just like playing sports and stuff.
What kind of sports do you like?
Basketball and softball.
Basketball. You play on a team?
Yeah.
What both teams? Basketball and softball, or?
No, just basketball.
Oh, you play on a basketball team?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. I heard your dad's maybe like the coach of the team?
Uh-huh.
That's good. Tell me something about that.
Well, I think it's really great because most kids don't get to have their dad coach their basketball team, and I think he enjoys it also.
Sure. I know I enjoy things with my kids. It's a good thing to do. What else do you do for fun?
Well, I live right next to the neighborhood park, so when my friends come over, we usually go there and play.
Really? So here in Texas, it's hot, right?
Uh-huh.
I hear there's something you do with water.
The swimming.
You like to swim?
Uh-huh.
Really? That's not a problem?
Nope.
Great. You like to swim too, Adam? Do you?
Yeah.
Who's the best swimmer?
Me.
Oh, you are? Oh, listen to this. Well, that's the way that needs to be. So, how about when friends come over to the house? You'll have friends come over?
Yeah, we usually go to the park.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
And what kind of things do y'all do there? Just regular playground stuff?
Yeah, swing and play games.
Do you? Have you had someone sleep over before?
No.
That's our future challenges.
Is that a future
sleepovers.
challenge?
Sleepovers and camping. We haven't gotten into any overnight activities at this
really?
point.
Is that something that you'd look forward to?
Yeah. I went camping this year, and well, last year in 4th grade.
In 3rd grade?
No, in 4th grade, but in 2001. In
But I went
November.
along as a chaperone to help out with the,
So there
Taking care
has
of her.
been camping then?
Yeah.
but
To
I
a
went along
degree.
as a chaperone,
That's
right?
okay, but you got to do it, right?
Mhm.
Well, that's way cool. Well, I would like to thank y'all for coming by and spending time and sharing your story and your unique things with us. You really have been an inspiration for me.
You're very welcome.
Oh my gosh, I have a basketball game to get to.
Hey, I'd like to see that. Let's go.
Hello, my name is Mark Jones. I am an ET nurse within an acute care setting. Been a registered nurse for a little over 22 years now. In the past 7 years, I have been an ET nurse. Going to be meeting with Mary Foley and her daughter, Katie. We'll be talking with both of them today concerning the colostomy that Katie has received when she was an infant. We'd like to start off with talking with Katie's mother, Mary. We would like just to start our talk today and just give us a little bit of an idea, if you would, of Katie's history of what led her to have a colostomy.
Okay. Katie was born with an imperfect anus that was discovered shortly after she was born. Subsequently, they discovered that she had a ventricle septal defect in her heart, a minor vertebral problem in her back, and a neurogenic bladder that was discovered a little bit later, about when she was about a year old.
So at what age was Katie when you and Kevin knew that colostomy was the next step? Was she just a newborn at that time?
She was several hours old. It was discovered, I guess, in the regular newborn nursery.
And what was the process in the hospital?
They needed to wait till they could get a pediatric surgeon, so she was actually about a day old before they could get a surgeon and an anesthesiologist to come over to the hospital and perform the colostomy surgeries.
So did they do all the surgeries? Did she just have that one surgery?
She had the one surgery when she was a day old. Then when she was about 9 months old, they did a reconstructive surgery to make the anal opening. And then when she was about 11 months old, they were able to close the colostomy.
Okay, so she was about just a little over 11 months old, a year old before she was reconnected. So what happened after she was reconnected?
Well, for the first, I'd say, we had some trouble with the reconstructive surgery. There were some bladder complications that developed. We really were never sure whether they were probably pre-existing, and we didn't realize it. So at that point, we were needing to use intermittent catheterization to empty her bladder every 4 hours, in addition to dealing with her colostomy for part of that time. And then after the colostomy was closed, we had to continue with the intermittent catheterization and deal with a horrible diaper rash that lasted, I'd say, about a year. That was a real struggle, trying to find something that would, she would just stool constantly. When she approached 2 years old, 2.5, we were able to find someone who specialized in bowel management for children with these type of problems. And once we started with the program that way, well, then her bottom could clear up, and we were beginning to get on the road to success at that point.
Well, good.
It was a pretty long 2-year struggle to get to that point.
Did she have a real hard time learning to become continent at the time?
Yes, because she had both the bowel and bladder involved at this point, those were both pretty delayed. It was really through the enemas for bowel management that she was able to become continent, and then she did, by about the age of 4, 4.5, become urine continent. The bladder started to heal itself, and she no longer had to be catheterized at that point.
But you had to continue doing the
We
enemas.
continue, yes, even today, and she's 13 with the high colonic enemas.
So tell us a little bit more about that, what it entails, how she feels about it, how you feel about it, how it does with your day, and her day.
Well, we started off, like I say, when she was 2, trying different laxative products. The first thing they wanted us to try was laxative products, and those would work, but they weren't very predictable. And as she approached school age, we really had to find something that she could manage where she could go to school and not be running to the bathroom all the time. So we eventually settled upon the high colonic irrigations, which we do every other day now, and do them in the evenings after she's home from school, and she can do her homework, and we get that taken care of and don't worry about it for the next 2 days when it's working well, which is most of the time.
So she doesn't have any problems with continence where she has to wear any type of absorptive underwear?
She does have some that my sister adapted. She took some regular underwear, Hanes her way panty, underpants like you would find in any Walmart store, and we did add a special lining to them, but they look perfectly normal from the outside, and it's really more, I think, for peace of mind. It isn't that often that she'll have a problem, but if she does, it gives her a little measure of time to get to the bathroom and take care of things.
What was her feelings towards the first day of school? And was she apprehensive? Was she didn't want to go?
No, she was really excited. Her first day of school, I guess, would probably start with preschool. And that would be one advice to parents, is you really have to start looking earlier. When she entered preschool, that was before Americans with Disabilities Act had been put into place. And so just about every preschool in town had turned us down. They would not take a child who was 3 years old who was not toilet trained. They weren't going to make any exceptions. They didn't care what the reason was. They just weren't going to go. So I finally was able to find, actually it was the most popular preschool in town. They were willing to take her in the 2-day program where they had a little more staffing. And so we had to work at that. That's where we really had to begin to fine-tune our bowel management program so that it wouldn't be such an ordeal for them. Then by the time she entered kindergarten, we didn't have as many issues. She was older at that point and she had a little more idea of when she needed to use the restroom, and we had gone to the higher colonic enemas at that point, so she wasn't having as much difficulty with that. But it still can be an issue from time to time at school. She doesn't always have a lot of advance notice that she needs to go, so we've had to work on that.
Did the doctor tell you why she doesn't have the ability to maintain continence? What was he able to?
Well, I don't know that it was that as much as it is. She just has a real tendency towards constipation.
Okay.
She really doesn't have. Some of the imperfect anus children have a real problem with diarrhea. Hers is more constipation,
more constipation,
and not being able to evacuate completely.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do? You would do different.
Well, I think the most important thing is probably always to start thinking about things early, trying to decide what options you have for schooling, whether they're private school, public school, and then investigating the different schools. No matter how much pre-planning you think that you've done, there's always something that seems to jump in there and throw a monkey wrench, so you have to be real flexible, and hopefully if you've done your homework well, you will find a school that will be flexible and willing to work with you. I know when Katie was in 2nd grade, they had classrooms that had a common bathroom, but in that bathroom area there was only a toilet and no sink. That was something we hadn't anticipated, which is probably fine for the average kid, but if you need to clean up, and there's no sink, it's very difficult to do. So we were able to, since it was a private school, they were willing to build a little cabinet in there that Katie could store her supplies, and we got some wet wipes and different things that you just sometimes have to sort of play it as it goes, and talk to the administration and see what kind of accommodations that they can make for your child. The first private school that we looked at was very interested in Katie until they learned she had any special needs, and then they suddenly were not so interested and didn't think they could accommodate her. And we chose not to enroll her in that school because we felt like if they were going to treat her as though she was some sort of a burden to them, or treat her differently than the other children, we didn't think that would be a good environment for her. And fortunately, we've had mostly good success with the teachers once they understand the problems and the needs that she has to go to the bathroom, have been very, very willing to work with us. But you do have to investigate and stay on top of things once you've come up with a plan, make sure that they're following through. And each year we have to tweak our plan just a little. Each different school has different regulations, and handle it that way. My daughter's done both private school and public school, and it's really been a blessing to have that school nurse. They have been very willing to work with us. Katie arranges to have extra clothes and things in the school nurse's office. We found that we just brought a little soft-sided lunch bag, like most kids carry to school, and we put her extra clothes in that. And if she's walking down the hall with her lunchbox, she doesn't look conspicuous because everybody carries their lunch in something, and it doesn't draw attention to it. And I just plan as things go along. I know in first grade we were surprised to find out she had to change clothes for gym, and really hadn't anticipated that we would run into that problem before junior high or something. But in talking to some other parents of older children, how did they handle it when their children had colostomies? How did they change their clothes in front of other kids without being noticed? And at that point, Katie was wearing underwear that looked more like training pants. So she didn't want the kids to see her underwear. So we had to find a way to work around those type of scenarios.
Has this changed Katie's self-image with herself? How does she feel about it?
I think she has a pretty good self-image. She's always been able to do the things that she wanted to do. Sometimes it's taken a bit of extra planning. She goes off to Girl Scout camps in the summer. So she's able to do things like the youth rally, which is for kids with ostomies and bowel management problems. But she's also able to do things like every other kid does, going to Girl Scout camp, swimming on a swim team, being on the Pom Squad. And other than her enemas every other day,
didn't slow her down at all.
Hasn't really slowed her down at all.
That's good. That's good. Are you involved with the support? You and your husband involved with the support group right now too?
Yes, we were able to find out about SPOC when Katie was about 3 months old. When she was first born in a major metropolitan hospital, they never called an ET. They never told us that ETs existed. They seemed to know very little about pouching, and they actually sent her home in a urostomy pouch, which worked pretty good for the stool going in, but not so well for the stool going back out. So that was my biggest concern, I think, initially, was not feeling that I had real good training on how to take care of this. Then I was reading in the newspaper where her birth announcement was printed, and above it there was a little article about the Denton Satellite UOA group. And so I called that number, and they referred me to Fort Worth and put me in touch with Lori Batchelor, and that was the first that I had ever heard that ETs actually existed, that someone was actually trained and knew how to, knew about ostomy supplies and pouching supplies. And I also, before I had found that, took it upon myself to start writing the different ostomy product companies and just asking their questions. You know, this pouch is really great, but how come it doesn't work so well? And they wrote me a very nice letter back and said that's because it's a urostomy pouch for urine and not a colostomy pouch.
Oh,
and sent me some samples, and once we got that straightened out, things really began to pick up a little bit. We felt more confident at that point that this was going to be something that we could manage easily.
We have the opportunity now to meet with Katie Foley. We'd like to ask her a few questions. How are you?
Good.
Good. And how old are you, Katie?
I'm 12 and a half years old.
And what grade are you in?
7th grade.
Your mom told me that you've been involved with a youth rally. What is that?
The youth rally is basically a camp for kids who've either had colostomies or urostomies or just things along those lines. And basically you get together and you meet with other kids and you get to learn about, you know, what they think about it, and we can kind of give each other advice, and it's kind of cool to get to know somebody who's kind of similar to you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And is it the same time every year?
Mostly, for the most part.
And where's it at?
It changes from year to year, though, like the location. And I've been to 2 youth rallies, and this coming year will be my 3rd. And the first one I went to was in Miami, Ohio, and then the second one was in San Diego, California, and now I'm going to Boulder, Colorado.
That's going to be fun.
Yes,
So how long is it?
It's only 5 days.
5 days. So what do you do in those 5 days?
Basically, like on the first day, it's kind of loose. You get to kind of meet people and get settled. And then the second day, you basically start your, you'll have some classes where you'll learn about different medical things and stuff like that. But you also do like a lot of games, and you have some free time. And then the second day, you go, sometimes it depends on the location. Like in San Diego on the second day, we went to the beach and hung out there, and that was a lot of fun. And then the third day, you normally go to like a theme park. And then the fourth day, it's basically free day the whole time. And then that night's the dance. And then on the 5th day, you go home.
So you don't work at this camp?
No.
You don't work, you just have fun, huh? Sounds good. So you're in the 7th grade, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And are you having any problems, you know, at school with?
Not really. Like at the beginning of the year, I was kind of nervous. Like the teachers, are they going to let me go to the bathroom if I have to? How are they going to handle it? But for a while, I had some problems with teachers letting me leave the class. But I got that settled, and they gave me a little pass that just kind of flashed at the teacher.
So what did you have to do in order to have the teachers allow you to go when you felt like you needed to go to the bathroom?
Well, my mom kind of talked to them, and my mom and me kind of had a little conference with the nurse. And then basically she went around and told my teachers, and basically that's how it all got started.
So the nurse helped you
Mm-hmm.
get all this started again. So Katie, what other activities are you involved with?
I'm on the Pom Squad, which is a blast, and it's really, some people would say, you know, oh my gosh, you can do that, but it's really, my sponsors, they basically know, and like, they let me have 2 different pom skirts in case something came up, and it was really...
Now, I'm real old, so I don't know what a pom...
Pom Squad is basically, everybody really hears about the cheerleaders on the football field, but Pom is basically, you do some cheering, but you're mainly dancing, and you get music, so you don't have to yell as much.
I remember it called a drill team. It's called a pom team now, huh?
Yeah, well, we have a drill team, too.
Oh, you do?
So.
You're going to be trying out for that, too?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So are you involved with sports?
I used to be on the swim team, which was a lot of fun.
And what are you planning on doing this summer with sports? Got any plans?
During the school year, I kind of went away from swimming just because I didn't know how much homework I was going to have at the new school, so I just basically went loose. But this summer, I think I'm going to go back to the swim team.
Good. We would like to thank Mary and her daughter, Katie, for taking their time and the opportunity to meet with them today.
Hello, my name is Teresa Murphy. I'm an active member of the Fort Worth chapter of UOA since 1976. It was a privilege as an officer to be able to assist in the formation of a support group for parents of infants who had ostomy surgery. I would like you now to meet Lori Batchelor, a courageous lady whose determined spirit and experiences led to the formation of this support group for parents. Thank you, Lori, for allowing us to come into your home.
It's our pleasure.
It doesn't seem possible that it's been 16 years since you and your family came to your first chapter meeting, but we know it's been that long because that's how old Brandon is now. Tell us about the first days, the first few months after Brandon was born.
Well, the first days, new baby, lots of excitement. We thought everything was going to go really well, another little boy. And I guess Brandon was about a day and a half old when I discovered, I was at the hospital by myself, that there was something really wrong. And that was a very long night and a very next several days, very, very long time. And on the fourth day, when he had turned 4 days of age, he had his first surgery. And from there to the first year was a blur of one event after the other.
And the surgery was for a colostomy, is right?
That's correct.
And how long did he have the colostomy?
They thought they were going to be able to do a revision